The millionaire checked his watch, stepped past a shuttered booth, crushed frost under leather shoes. He didn't see her at first, just shadows, wind, cold air slicing his breath in half. Then a voice too calm, too quiet, too broken. Please buy one, or I won't be fed tonight. He turned. A little girl in torn clothes, standing beneath a flickering lamp, holding a cracked toy in outstretched hands. No coat, no shoes that matched, no fear in her eyes. Behind her someone shouted. The millionaire didn't move. Not forward, not back. Something in him had already shattered. If you want to know what happens next, stay with me until the end of the video. And if you still believe deep in your heart that God is always watching over you silently, arranging everything then right now, leave a comment saying Amen below this video. Because who knows, at the very moment you write those words, a blessing may quietly enter your life. The wind knifed down the empty corridor of what used to be Riverbend Park. Once a bustling waterfront amusement ground in downtown Cincinnati. Now it was nothing but cracked pavement, rusted gates, and abandoned rides sagging under the weight of time. The echo of laughter that once danced through the air had long been swallowed by silence. Daniel Mercer walked alone beneath the grey sky, his breath curling like smoke in the December air. He wore a designer coat and sleek black gloves, remnants of a life that had long since lost its thrill. Just 3 years ago he'd sold his last tech company for a sum too obscene to say aloud. They called him a genius, a visionary. Now, at 44, he couldn't remember the last time he'd felt proud of anything. This park was his newest project, or rather, it was supposed to be. The city council had tagged it for redevelopment, a word Daniel had come to hate. It always meant the same thing. Glass condos soulless, retail space, and headlines that said revitalization while quietly pushing out anyone who didn't fit the mold. He wandered through the fog of his thoughts until a flickering street lamp caught his eye. Underneath it, sitting on a bench warped by cold and time, was a small figure. A child. Alone. At first he thought she was part of the scenery, a forgotten statue or a trick of the light. But then she moved her breath a faint cloud and said something so soft he almost missed it. Please buy one, or I won't be fed tonight. Daniel stopped cold. The girl couldn't have been more than 8, wearing a faded red hoodie over a stained dress that might have once been festive. Her knees were blotched purple with cold, her shoes mismatched, one pink, one grey, both stuffed with paper to keep out the wind. A battered cardboard box sat beside her, lined neatly with chipped plastic toys, broken action figures, and a snow globe with a cracked base. She didn't beg. She didn't smile. She just looked at him, her dark eyes calm and far too old for her face. My name's Maya, she said, voice thin but steady. My stepdad says I gotta earn dinner. A slurred voice echoed from somewhere behind the carousel ruins. Maya, don't let that guy take nothing without paying. You mess it up, you go hungry. Daniel's stomach turned. The girl didn't flinch. She looked up at him again, offering the snow globe with both hands. This one still works, she said, if you shake it slow. Daniel knelt down in the frost. The air smelled like rust and old popcorn. He took the globe gently from her hands, the plastic dome fogged with scratches, the fake snow clinging to a bent cardboard tree inside. And for the first time in years, something stirred inside him. A flicker. Not pity. Recognition. Daniel stared at the cracked snow globe turning in his palm, its plastic base creaking faintly under the weight of memory. He'd held things like this before, useless, broken, forgotten, but never with hands this unsure or heart this heavy. Do you want to keep it? Maya asked, her voice quieter now, like the cold had crept into her chest. He nodded slowly. Yeah, I do. She looked relieved, then quickly scanned the shadows behind her. Somewhere in the distance, her stepfather Tyler shouted again, though the words were too slurred to understand. Daniel felt that instinct to rise to do something, but Maya didn't move. She stayed still, like a streetlight, too used to darkness to fear it any more. How much? He asked softly, reaching into his coat. She hesitated. 5. He pulled out a 20 and offered it without a word. Her eyes narrowed. He'll ask where the change is. Daniel hesitated, then tucked the bill into her hand. Tell him you gave it to me. I forgot it, that's all. Maya blinked. You sure? He offered a faint smile. I've been known to forget things. She clutched the money like it burned. Okay. He stood slowly, glancing once more toward the ruined carousel. Tyler's voice was closer now. The sound of boots crunching gravel made Daniel tense. Maya stayed frozen on the bench, her small body framed by that flickering lamp like a scene from a forgotten storybook. I'll come back, he said, his voice a whisper barely louder than the wind. You remember that? Maya didn't nod, but she didn't look away either, and somehow that was enough. The next morning, Daniel stared at the snow globe sitting dead center on his desk in the 12th floor office of Hartman Ventures. Behind him, the skyline of Cincinnati stretched like a steel quilt under a slate sky. Usually this was where he lost hours reviewing development plans, market reports, or zoning appeals. Not today. He shook the snow globe gently. It was pathetic. Crooked tree, faded glitter. The whole thing smelled faintly of plastic and mildew. Still it held his attention like nothing had in years. He leaned forward, squinting. There, just beneath the cardboard tree, something folded and hidden in the base. A sliver of paper, yellowed and worn. His fingers twitched. He could pry it open, see what it said. He didn't. Not yet. The intercom buzzed. Mr. Mercer Jasmine's voice crackled sharp and professional as always. There's a child in the lobby. Says you forgot your change. He froze. His chair scraped back on the wood floor. The snow globe stayed in his hand as he rode the elevator down in silence. The lobby was marble and chrome, clean, quiet, expensive. She didn't belong here, and everyone knew it. Maya stood by the window, both hands holding a wrinkled $5 bill. Her hoodie was zipped to her chin, her breath fogging the glass. When she saw him, she didn't smile. I ran, she said. He told me not to leave the cart, but I didn't want you to get in trouble. Daniel crouched down, eye level. I'm not in trouble. But thank you. She looked around nervously, shrinking into her sleeves. He doesn't know I came. He was sleeping. You okay? He asked. Her lips were pale. Not really. His hand hovered near her shoulder, uncertain. Then slowly she offered the 5. He didn't take it. Keep it. He'll ask. Daniel straightened. Then tell him you gave me something extra. She blinked. Like what? He looked at the snow globe in his hand. Like hope. Maya stared at him for a long moment, and for the first time her mouth twitched at the corners, just barely. Not quite a smile, but close. Come on, he said. Let's get you somewhere warm. She hesitated, eyes darting toward the glass doors, toward the city that stretched far too wide for someone so small. Then slowly she stepped forward and placed her hand in his. The drive up the private elevator felt like it lasted a year. Maya said nothing, clinging to the straps of her worn backpack. Daniel wasn't sure what he expected when the doors opened, maybe discomfort, maybe fear. What he hadn't expected was the look on her face. Awe. She stepped inside his penthouse like it was a museum. The floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the frozen river, the room lit with muted golds and soft shadows. She didn't touch anything, just stood near the wall like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to breathe. Daniel disappeared into the kitchen and returned with a mug of cocoa. Marshmallows floated in clumps. Maya held the mug with both hands and sipped slowly, eyes closed, a small sigh escaping her lips. He watched her from the couch, heart strangely tight. "Do you live here by yourself?" she asked. "Yeah." She looked around again. "Feels bigger than a whole school." "It's quieter." She nodded like she understood that more than most. A pause settled. Then Daniel leaned forward, the snow globe balanced between his palms. "Can I ask you something?" Maya tilted her head. "That thing inside the globe, the little paper, did you put it there?" Her eyes snapped wide. She reached out suddenly, gripping the base with both hands, panic flooding her face. "You saw it." "I didn't read it," he said quickly. "I just noticed." She stared at him. "Don't show him, please." "Who, Tyler? He doesn't know." "It's from my mum." Daniel felt the air change. A chill deeper than winter. "She used to tell me if I ever needed help, someone would find that note. I didn't know where to put it, so I just kept it close." Daniel swallowed. "You trust me with it?" Maya stared at him for a long, quiet breath. "I don't know," she said. "But I want to." Daniel nodded, and in that moment he made a choice that would change both their lives forever. Daniel wasn't sure when the air in his penthouse had last felt this alive. The steam from Maya's cocoa still curled in the air, and she sat curled in the armchair, feet dangling above the floor, wrapped in a fleece blanket that made her look even smaller. Outside, Cincinnati's skyline blinked with soft winter light, the streets below dusted in snow. Inside, there was only the quiet sound of her sipping the occasional pop from the fireplace and Daniel's heart pounding too loudly in his ears. He'd handled billion-dollar mergers, sat across from investors who could crush him with a signature, but none of that prepared him for the way this child's presence rearranged the shape of his world. He moved slowly, careful not to startle her. "I made grilled cheese," he said. "I don't know if it's any good. Haven't made one since college." Maya blinked her eyes wide. "What's in it?" Daniel smirked. "Cheese. And more cheese." She cracked a tiny laugh, her first real one, and took the plate with both hands. Her fingers were pink with warmth, now her lips less chapped than before. She bit into the sandwich slowly, like each mouthful had to last forever. Daniel sat across from her, not eating, just watching. She paused after a few bites. "You don't have kids, do you?" "No." "Why not?" He hesitated. "Didn't think I'd be any good at it. You made a pretty good sandwich." He smiled at that. Then she whispered, "He's going to come looking." Daniel's smile faded. "Tyler." She nodded. "If he finds out I left the cart, he'll be mad. If he finds out I came here." Her voice trailed off. Daniel felt the heat rise in his chest, not just anger, but fear. That helpless, unfamiliar fear that something could hurt this girl, and he might not be able to stop it. "You're not going back there," he said firmly. Maya looked down. "You can't keep me. You're not allowed." Daniel stood, walked to the window, and looked out over the city. The snow fell gently now, peaceful. But all he could feel was a storm gathering. He pulled out his phone and made the call. Alana Brooks arrived 30 minutes later. She was short, sharply dressed in a dark coat and had the air of someone who'd seen too much to waste time on niceties. As she stepped into the penthouse, she scanned the space, then looked at Daniel like she was trying to read through his suit. "You're the one who called in the welfare concern." Daniel nodded. "She's in the guest room," he said. "I gave her cocoa. A sandwich. Some space." Alana raised a brow. "You didn't call the police. She wasn't in danger when she got here." And now Daniel hesitated. "Now, I don't know." They moved to the hallway where Maya sat cross-legged on the floor with the snow globe in her lap. She looked up as Alana approached her body, stiffening instinctively. "Hi, Maya," Alana said gently. "My name's Alana. I work with the county. Can I sit with you?" Maya nodded slowly. Daniel stepped back, giving them space, but not leaving. He watched as Maya opened up in halting sentences about the box of toys, about her mum who died 2 years ago, about Tyler and the rules and the cold. Alana listened quietly. After 20 minutes, she stood and walked with Daniel into the kitchen. "She's underweight, probably frostbite starting in her toes, and trauma off the charts." Daniel's jaw tightened. "What happens next? She goes into emergency foster placement. Unless you have another idea." He hesitated. "What if she stayed here with me? Temporarily?" Alana studied him again hard. "You're not family. You're not licensed. I have a secure home. I have stuff. I have the resources. I just need the system to let me keep her safe." She didn't blink. "You planning to make this permanent?" Daniel didn't answer. But the silence was loud enough. Alana pulled a temporary custody form from her bag. "If you're serious, sign this. We'll do a full evaluation later. And just so you know, this gets messy. Courts, paperwork, background checks. People will assume you're doing this for the wrong reasons." Daniel looked at the form and signed it. Later that night, Maya stood at the window, the repaired snow globe glowing beside her. The city pulsed beneath them, all glass and ice and light. Daniel stepped beside her. "You feeling okay?" She nodded. "This is the warmest I've ever been." "Good." She looked up at him. "What if he finds me?" Daniel didn't answer right away. He just crouched down level with her. "He'll have to go through me." Maya stared at him for a long moment. "Why do you care so much?" He hesitated, then answered the only truth he knew. "Because I've seen what it looks like when no one does." And Maya, with all the gravity of a child who'd survived far too much, whispered, "Then I hope you never stop." Daniel closed his eyes and made a vow. Daniel wasn't used to being watched. In his world, boardrooms, innovation hubs, digital playgrounds, he was the one people looked toward for vision, not judgment. But now, as he sat in his own living room beside Maya, reading quietly from a worn copy of Charlotte's Web, he could feel eyes on him, not hers, but the city's. Word had gotten out. A tech mogul takes in a street girl. People whispered. Some praised. Others doubted. Even more speculated. Daniel ignored it. Maya needed warmth, rest, routine. He gave her all three in abundance. By the fourth night she was humming again, soft, uncertain, but real, as she glued cut-out snowflakes to the glass doors of the balcony. Jasmine had cleared Daniel's calendar. Alana checked in every 2 days. And Daniel, for the first time in years, cooked. They were halfway through making gingerbread cookies when the building's security line buzzed. Jasmine's voice crackled from the wall panel. "Daniel, I think you need to see this." He tapped the screen. There, swaying outside the main doors, was a man in a filthy brown jacket, fists banging on the glass with drunken rhythm. Tyler Quinn. Even through the grainy camera feed, Daniel could see the fury in his bloodshot eyes. "You think you can steal from me?" Tyler slurred, slamming a palm against the security glass. "That girl's mine." Daniel's heart dropped. Behind him he heard the sharp intake of breath. Maya stood frozen at the edge of the hallway, cocoa spilled across her shirt. Her face went pale, every ounce of colour drained in an instant. "I'll break this damn door down," Tyler yelled. "You rich piece of..." Daniel turned the intercom off. "Maya," he said gently, moving to kneel before her. "He's not coming in." "He'll find a way," she whispered. "He always does." Daniel pulled her into a hug. She stiffened at first, then collapsed into his chest. Within minutes, building security had Tyler restrained. The police arrived shortly after. "He's shouting about custody," one officer explained to Daniel. "Says you abducted his daughter." "She's not his daughter," Daniel said flatly. "He's her stepfather. Her legal guardian is deceased, and I have signed emergency custody through the county." The officer nodded. "We're confirming that with Child Protective Services. For now, he's being charged with public intoxication and disorderly conduct." Maya sat silently through the whole exchange, clutching the snow globe in her lap like it was the only stable thing left in the world. Daniel tucked her in that night without another word. He sat by her door until she fell asleep. Then only when he was sure her breathing had evened out, he made the second call of the evening. Councilman Troy Adler answered on the second ring. "Mercer, bit late, isn't it? I need your help," Daniel said, voice clipped. "One of your departments signed off on a parole loophole that kept Tyler Quinn off the radar. That man's a danger. He should have been flagged months ago." Adler chuckled. "I hear you've taken in a little charity case. Bit outside your wheelhouse, isn't it?" "This isn't charity," Daniel snapped. "It's justice." "Sure it is," Adler replied, a smirk audible in his tone. "Just a suggestion. Keep your name out of the papers for a few weeks. Wouldn't want the city board thinking you've gone soft while we're finalizing your permit for the Riverbend project." Daniel froze. So this was what it was. "You're threatening my project." "I'm advising caution," Adler said smoothly. "You want to play father to some stray, be my guest. But don't bring that mess into City Hall. Keep it clean, or you'll lose your shot." Daniel hung up without another word. For the first time in years, he felt something old and sharp twist in his gut. Not fear, resolve. By morning, Maya was herself again, quiet, careful but awake. Daniel had Jasmine pull every legal file on Maya's birth records, school records, medical history. He called Alana, called his lawyers, called 3 different non-profits for help building a case against Tyler Quinn. "What are you doing?" Jasmine asked as she watched him build a wall of folders across his kitchen counter. "Protecting someone," he said. "Is this still about her? Or are you trying to fix something you couldn't before?" Daniel paused. "You mean Beth?" he said. Jasmine nodded. Daniel looked out the window. When he was 13, his younger sister Beth had collapsed on the ice outside their small apartment building. Pneumonia. Complications. A missed doctor's appointment that no one ever rescheduled. By the time they got her to the ER, it was too late. He'd never told Maya that story. Maybe he never would. But it lived in him sharp and buried like frost in the lungs. 2 days later, Daniel received a formal summons. Tyler Quinn had filed a motion in family court. Petition to reclaim guardianship of Maya Quinn. The hearing was set for the following week. Daniel read the document twice, jaw clenched so tight it ached. Outside, Maya was building a tower of gingerbread cookies. He stared at her for a long time. Then he made a promise to himself. If he had to burn down half the city to keep her safe, so be it. The courthouse rose like a fortress of stone and glass, cold and unmoved by the people who passed through its heavy doors. Daniel adjusted his tie as they walked up the steps. Maya's hand clenched tightly in his. She wore a new blue dress and a soft wool cardigan Jasmine had picked out. Her eyes were tired. Her grip never loosened. Inside the courtroom felt colder than the street. A judge's bench loomed overhead. Pale morning light filtered through tall windows. Maya sat next to Daniel, so still she might have disappeared into the chair. On the other side of the aisle, Tyler Quinn leaned back with his court-appointed lawyer. His face was cleaner now, hair combed, shirt tucked, but the smugness remained. He didn't look at Maya. He didn't need to. His words would do the damage. The clerk called the room to order. Case number 2023 FC 1N21. Quinn v. Mercer. Petition to restore legal guardianship of minor Maya Quinn. The judge, Camille Everett, was a woman in her 50s, grey at the temples, sharp in posture and tone. She reviewed the file in front of her, then looked up, eyes flicking first to Tyler, then Daniel, then Maya. Let's begin. Alana Brooks was first on the stand. She described her initial welfare check, the bruises, the frostbite, the emotional withdrawal. She was surviving, not living, she said plainly. Tyler's attorney objected to speculation. The judge allowed it. Next came a pediatrician who treated Maya the morning after Daniel brought her in. She described the malnutrition, untreated injuries, and psychological flags. This child had not received basic care in months. Tyler shifted uncomfortably. Then came Maya. Daniel didn't want her to testify, but she insisted. She stood at the witness table, barely tall enough to reach the microphone, her small hands gripping the edge of the podium. Judge Everett leaned forward. Maya, I want you to speak honestly. You're not in trouble. No one here will punish you for telling the truth. Maya nodded. Her voice was barely above a whisper. He made me sell things, she said. He said I had to bring money back. If I didn't, I wouldn't get food. Who is he, my stepdad? Tyler. Did he ever hit you? Maya hesitated, then said sometimes he pushed or grabbed. If I messed up. Daniel saw Tyler tense. And what about now? The judge asked. Do you feel safe where you are? Maya's eyes drifted toward Daniel. She didn't smile, but she didn't blink either. I don't wake up scared anymore. Tyler's defense tried to dismantle it all. They painted Daniel as a wealthy man with a savior complex, trying to fill some hole in his life with a pity project. He's not family, the lawyer argued. He's known the child for barely 2 weeks. The lawyer leaned into the microphone. Your Honor, this man is a tech billionaire. He's been photographed at Galea Startup Launch's elite retreats. And now we're to believe he's the sudden guardian angel of a girl he met in an alley. Daniel's own lawyer stood calmly and addressed the court. Yes, Mr. Mercer has resources. But that's not what matters. What matters is that when no one else acted, he did. When Maya showed up at his office scared, cold and alone, he didn't turn her away. He didn't make excuses. He made a home. Then she turned toward Daniel. "Would you like to say anything to the court, Mr. Mercer?" He stood slowly, walked to the front. The courtroom hushed. He looked at Maya first, then at the judge. "I've built things my whole life," he said. "Apps, platforms, systems. I've led teams, sold companies, made more money than I'll ever need." He paused. "But none of it matters if I can't protect one little girl from being forgotten again." He held up the snow globe. "I didn't understand what this was when she gave it to me. I thought it was broken, just plastic. But then I looked closer." He opened the base, gently revealing the folded slip of paper. It was from her mother. He handed it to the judge. She unfolded it carefully and read aloud. "To whoever finds this, please love my girl. She deserves more than I could give." The words hovered in the silence like breath in winter. Judge Everett looked at Maya, then at Tyler, finally at Daniel. A bailiff entered suddenly. He handed the judge a folder. "New documentation from CPS and local law enforcement, Your Honor." She scanned the pages, her brow furrowed. Then she looked at Tyler. "Mr. Quinn, do you recognize the name Richard T. Cole?" Tyler stiffened. "No, because that's the name you used during a prior case in Missouri. Custodial interference. Suspected abuse. You failed to disclose that during intake." The courtroom tensed. Tyler's lawyer stammered. "We weren't aware." The judge cut her off. "In light of these findings and the testimony presented, I am issuing an immediate suspension of all claims to guardianship by Mr. Quinn." Tyler's face turned red. "I further grant Mr. Mercer emergency full custody of Maya Quinn pending final review. This court recognizes the environment he has provided as safe, stable, and in the child's best interest." Maya blinked. "Does that mean I stay?" The judge's face softened. "Yes, Maya, you stay." Daniel reached for her hand. She didn't hesitate. She held on tight. Outside, the sky had turned silver with snow. Reporters waited at the curb, but Daniel ignored them. He wrapped his coat around Maya's shoulders, and they walked together toward his car. At the door, Maya tugged his sleeve. "Can I change my name one day?" Daniel looked down. "To what?" She smiled. "To yours." His throat tightened. "You can," he said softly, "whenever you're ready." And with that, they stepped into the cold. But this time, they didn't feel it. Cincinnati glowed that Christmas morning. Snow lay thick on the rooftops, blanketing the city in a hush that felt sacred. Lights twinkled from windows, street lamps cast golden halos on the sidewalks, and steam curled from chimneys in soft spirals of warmth. From the 12th floor of the Mercer penthouse, the world looked like a snow globe turned slowly in quiet wonder. Daniel stood in the kitchen, barefoot mug in hand, watching Maya stir cinnamon into her cocoa with deliberate focus. She wore her new red dress, one Jasmine had picked out. The skirt puffed out like a holiday card illustration. Her curls were tied back with a green ribbon. On her feet, slippers shaped like reindeer. She looked up at him and smiled. "Did you check under the tree yet?" He raised an eyebrow. "Was I supposed to?" She pointed. "It's Christmas, Daniel. You have to check." He chuckled, crossing to the tree now covered in handmade ornaments, candy canes, and one very special centerpiece, the snow globe fully restored and glowing under the lights. Beneath it sat a single wrapped box. To Daniel, the tag read, "From Maya." He opened it carefully. Inside was a hand-drawn picture, two stick figures holding hands in front of a house with heart-shaped windows. One figure was tall in glasses, the other wore a red dress. Above them she'd written in bold, uneven letters, "My real home." Daniel swallowed the lump in his throat, then handed her a small envelope. Maya opened it slowly. Inside she found a court document, stamped and sealed, legal adoption complete, name changed, permanent custody granted. Her eyes widened. I'm really Maya Mercer now. He knelt beside her, his voice hoarse. You've been Maya Mercer since the day you handed me that snow globe. She flung her arms around his neck, and he held her for a long, long time. That afternoon, they visited Riverbend. What was once a broken amusement park was now alive with music, laughter, and flickering lights. Volunteers handed out hot cocoa and scarves. Children raced between booths selling handmade crafts. Near the entrance stood a plaque, "For every child who thought no one was coming." Maya placed a new snow globe at the base of the community tree. A little girl in a threadbare coat approached, eyes wide. Maya knelt and offered the globe. "Why are you giving this to me?" the girl whispered. Maya smiled. "Because I'm warm now," she said. "And you should be too." That night, as the stars blinked awake above the city, Daniel stood at Maya's doorway, watching her drift into sleep. She clutched the old snow globe in one hand, the adoption papers tucked safely beneath her pillow. "Forever and a day," she'd whispered as he turned off the light. He smiled and whispered back, "Forever and a day." Today's story comes to an end, but its echo still lingers in the heart. What do you think? Give us a score from 1 to 10 and feel free to share a few words in the comments. Every voice here is valued and heard. Before you go, let me ask you gently, are you doing okay today? If your heart feels heavy, let this place be a quiet corner where you can share and find comfort. See you again in the next bedtime story, where love and hope remind us that no matter how dark the night may seem, kindness will always prevail.